by state Labor.
Order. Call the honourable member for Dawson.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Speaker. When migrants become Australian citizens, they make an affirmation or an oath which reads, "From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect and whose laws I will uphold and obey." They're also asked to sign a statement that they respect Australian values such as freedom, dignity of the individual, freedom of religion, rule of law, democracy, equality of the sexes and egalitarianism. So when the government considers removing citizenship for those who join foreign fighters or terrorist organisations who pledge and advocate death to Australians, it should be a moot point. Citizenship for those foreign fighters, terrorists and terrorist supporters was voided by their own hands. Perhaps the debate should include those who fight against Australia without leaving our shores, those who do not share our democratic beliefs, those who do not respect Australia's rights and liberties, those who refuse to uphold Australian law and obey instead the laws of another land or another culture, those who advocate and support the killing of our troops, who seek to justify and support terrorism against this country and seek to replace Australian law with Sharia law. How do we get to a place where we not only allow but encourage beliefs, customs and actions that could be regarded as un-Australian at best and treasonous at worst? Could it be that multiculturalism has failed us as a nation? I mean, if multiculturalism simply meant Australia as a new world country was made up of citizens from all ethnicities around the world, all pulling together towards a common goal, that would be fine, laudable even. If multiculturalism simply meant migrants brought with them to Australia their own unique cuisine, arts and festivals, which were woven into the mainstream culture, then as a nation we'd be richer for that contribution. But what multiculturalism has become is a device to allow foreign customs and beliefs that are so offensive and contrary to the mainstream that they're the antithesis of our values and culture to be brought into this country, and we're told by the politically correct elite that we must tolerate it. Multiculturalism is basically cultural relativism dressed up in ethnic garb, where Australian culture must make way for opposing foreign cultures, and if we do not acquiesce, then we're considered racists or bigots or xenophobes or some other kind of phobe. Today's multiculturalism means the worldview and the beliefs that spawn practices like honour killings, child brides or Sharia law must be accepted because they're seen as legitimate values within a particular culture. Well, this approach completely disregards the fact that such practices are considered abhorrent and barbaric by all the other cultures that make up Australia. What we have in Australia is no longer one culture and one society. We have enclaves where these practices are carried out and even condoned. I'll go through some headlines, Mr Deputy Speaker, of recent years. A 14-year-old girl was forced into an Islamic marriage with a Western Sydney drug gang member who raped and beat her and later physically abused their daughter, from the Daily Telegraph, February 2014. First female genital mutilation case to go to trial in the New South Wales Supreme Court in the Sydney Morning Herald, December 2014. In February 2010, Australia was shocked to learn that a 43-year-old man had been murdered by a father and son in the inner West Sydney suburb of Leichhardt as part of an honour killing. An article from the 9th of August 2013. Headline: Man jailed for whipping Muslim convert under Sharia punishment, from the Australian in June 2013. Do we hear clear condemnation from our Islamic leaders about these actions and the worldview in which they're spawned from? We do not. Instead, we hear excuses for the inexcusable. People like Kaiser Trad of the Islamic Friendship Association and Mohammed Al-Isi of the Islamic Council of Victoria suggest the other day that not having a job leads to fighting for ISIS, but unemployment doesn't lead other sectors of our community into terrorism. On Sky News earlier this week, the President of the Australian Muslim Women's Association, Silma Iram, said that the terrorists of today are the governments of tomorrow. What's she trying to say about ISIS? Instead of trying to paper over the barbarity of the Islamic State and advocating for them a place at the UN, we must call them out for what they are and defend at all costs the way of life Australians hold so dear. We have to move away from the ethnic enclaves inspired by multiculturalism with their values that are the antithesis of Australian values. When migrants and second-generation migrants are assimilated into the mainstream, then they're no longer disenfranchised or segregated. Quite simply, we should hold new Australians to their word, demand the allegiance they pledged to Australia at the citizenship ceremony be upheld. We need to leave multiculturalism behind and focus on citizenship, a citizenship of many ethnicities and races coming together as one people with one set of Australian values.